to all of our club members and a special hello to all of our new club members. It's very nice to be with you. I am Kyla, this is Kiri.
Hello everyone.
Your co-host at the Emperor Champagne Club. And this month we have an awesome topic, a topic we have covered before, but I think it's really important that we do it again.
We're going to expand on it.
We're going to go a little bit deeper.
We're going to go a bit deeper, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, in short, it's from zero,
Yeah.
or zero from hero.
Yeah, you really,
whatever.
You really nailed that one. You really nailed it.
We're looking at zero dosage champagnes with two amazing examples. Kiri, who are we featuring this month?
So we're looking at the infamous classic traditional house Philipponnat, started in 1522, and we're also looking at a very modern, new winemaking family. It only started in 1989.
Yeah.
The WarisLarmandier family, and we're based in Avize.
So the uniting feature of this month is that both of the wines have zero dosage, so no added sugar at the finale, at the final stage. So then we're going to take it a step further and have a look at what tools, tricks and tips the winemaker has available to him, from viticulture to vineyard practices, to make an exceptional champagne, which both of these are, from a zero dosage cuvee.
Love it.
The first producer that we're looking at this month is one of my personal favorites, Philipponnat. I don't think it's any secret, is it, that, you know, when you come into our warehouse, there's a particular section of our warehouse which are long-standing estates, so houses that are pre-1800s, family-owned, mid-tier in terms of the quantity of bottles that they're producing, but really high on quality.
Right.
You got it.
That's right.
1522, we're talking a really long history, being located within the Champagne region, originally producing red wine, and it's only natural that they're located where they are in Mareuil-Sur-Aÿ, with vineyard plots in the famous villages of Aÿ and Mareuil-Sur-Aÿ, because essentially this was the epicenter of winemaking in the Champagne region, but they were making still red wines, translating across to making exceptional sparkling wines in the 1700s.
Exactly, and it runs right along the Marne River. So if you're there, you'll see that was one of the greatest points for them to move basically Champagne up into Paris and back. So it was a prime position. They also get this beautiful positioning on the Clos de Gouasse, which is one of the most famous vineyards in Champagne, where they have this almost 45-degree angle straight down into where the river runs.
And
so
I think it's
special.
a great place when you take visitors, as we do, to the Champagne region, to look at this sheer cliff front, and you can see the depth of the chalky soils, which is the underbelly of Champagne. And when you look at the river that's running right in front of the vineyards of Philipponnat, the river's actually green, and it's not green because of any kind of algae. It's because of the limestone the chalk that sits underneath it.
That's right, and it colours the waters green. So it's got this really quite unusual effect.
So we've got a house that's gone from generation to generation to generation, lots on BCC to pick up the house at a certain point in time. But you know, you and I often marvel at how independent the Philipponnat Maison is within the group.
Yeah, I liken it to how Cru are managed still by the family, independently within a large organisation, and that gives them full scope to do whatever they feel is right for their wine.
Yeah. So club members, you are extremely fortunate to have this cuvee, and you are the only people in Australia to have this cuvee because we have imported it exclusively for you. It is the non-dosé from Philipponnat, which has never been on Australian shores before.
That's right.
And it has a very special place in our heart because when we take guests on this extraordinary lunch to Philipponnat, as we do every year, it's something that we cherish dearly. We do a walk through the vineyards of Champagne. It's hot when we're visiting in June and July.
We go to the infamous vineyard of Clos de Gouasse. We walk, it's about 200 metres up the road. It's very steep, so you've got to put some work into it and then get to the top. And you've got this amazing view over Champagne. The sun's beating down. Everyone's looking fabulous, really enjoying their time up there. And as soon as we get back, we are handed a glass of this.
Non-dosé from Philipponnat, and we love this wine. It's as good as it gets, and we could never understand why it wasn't in Australia, so we brought it in exclusively for club members.
Yes.
It's a sensational wine, Kiri. We've got that lead of Pinot Noir and 65% as Philipponnat are known for in that red zone, those beautiful red
Mareuil,
fruits.
you've got Moutigny, you've got Avize de Val d'Or, and those are some of the surrounding vineyards that go into the Pinot for this. These are all great sites. If you look at the map, you'll see where we're talking about. The Chardonnay is actually located in the Côte de Blanc, so they saw some best parcels in Avize, Champagne, Crayeuses, all those lovely spots. And in the Meunier is also from Vallée de la Marne locally.
But you've got a great wine from the base up. Number one, you've got great viticulture at Philipponnat. Number two, you've got the best vineyard sites.
Only Grand Cru, Premier Cru.
Grand Cru, Premier Cru. You've got a really deft hand in winemaking that's come down the line. And of course, you've got this Solera influence coming into play. So big foudres, big round barrels, where the wine is being topped up continually year upon year upon year, a little bit drawn down, a little bit put in. So this rotation of wine in a vat that's added into the blend to give it some complexity and some depth.
I always liken it to a chef's master stock. So we used to work in many restaurants, and best chefs were always using a sort of a master stock, continuously topping up and adding to the flavour. And so whenever you tasted it, it was like so good.
Okay, so let's talk about what we got out of the wine.
Let's talk about it. Yeah.
We're featuring two wines this month: the WarisLarmandier Blanc and the Philipponnat. You know, when you put your nose in the Philipponnat, there's two things that you get. For me, there's that beautiful red fruit pronounced expression.
Yes, from the Pinot, absolutely.
From the Pinot Noir, but also it's perfumed. I get sort of plum and some other sort of quite floral red fruits.
Yeah.
But you get this saline, chalky minerality, which is expressed beautifully through the wine.
It is completely shown, I agree, in this wine, because with the absence of sugar, and it's something I want to talk about, why we're talking about, zero to hero or hero to zero, however you want to put it, it is naked. It is showing you exactly what the fruit's doing. It's showing you the influence of Solera, the richness with the fruit, the freshness that allows it to express itself, but yet it's complex and it doesn't feel so dry that the mouth is
it doesn't feel bony.
Correct. There is actually something there.
There's length, there's body. It's beautiful. It's so well balanced. I think to get this wine right, you need so many factors in place, and Philipponnat have done that at every step of the way to produce something which I think is just exceptional.
So next up we have the house of WarisLarmandier, and they are based in Avize. They're a young house, began in 1989, as we mentioned earlier. They're actually from a long lineage, or a lineage of other amazing winemakers in the area, most notably in Bertus, Larmandier, Bernier. So they share a lot of their commonalities, their knowledge, especially in biodynamics, as part of what they do.
And also they're leading Chardonnay. I mean, they're in that Grand Cru region where they've got some of the very best plots of Chardonnay, Grand Cru Chardonnay, Chouy and Auger, Le Menil-sur-Auger, Cremant, I mean, and Avize, of course, which is where the house is located. The winemaker, Kiri, he's a biodynamic evangelist.
Jean-Philippe, he converted the house to organics and biodynamics in 2010. He wanted to go very much down this path. He's so passionate about it. Is in fact part of a consultancy in Champagne that helps other smaller growers do their conversion into biodynamics and shows them the way. So he's all about the earth. In fact, 90% of his time is spent in the vineyard. I would be very much the same if I was a winemaker in Champagne. And then the rest sort of takes care of itself if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but there's so many interesting tips and tricks and tools that he's using and implementing. He's very experimental, from the Burgundy barrels, the open barrel fermentation. He's utilising natural yeasts, which we find fascinating. Organics, the biodynamics. It's certainly... there's a lot of experimentation going on in the vineyard, and I think the result is the wine itself. The wines are brilliant. Exactly.
So just a little bit about the label. I mean, you can see it's adorned with these beautiful plants, which is actually from plant boxes of their mother. And Inez, and she's the sister, she's an artist and sculptor, so she's put that together. So there's a little bit of fusion between them.
And again, first time in Australia for this wine.
First time.
Super exciting.
Exclusive. So the wine we're looking at is Particules Crayeuses. And I want you to practice that.
I had to.
It basically means chalk particles, but it's a real essence to where it's from and how it's made. This is actually the flagship wine of the house. They make, it focuses of course all on Chardonnay. It's coming from 5 Grand Cru sites. It's coming from where they're from, Avize, Cremant, which is next door, Auger, Mareuil-Sur-Aÿ and Waris-Larmandier.
Yes.
So they've got this lovely blend of different Grand Cru parcels coming into making composition.
We need to talk a little bit more enthusiastically about this wine because it is sensational.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. I mean, if I show you the
don't want
colour.
for more in any champagne. I mean, this golden green flecked hue. It's luminous on the nose. I mean, God, it's praline. It's freshly baked bread with slathers of French salty butter.
It's burnt noisette. It's all the things you want. It's eaten a bit.
It's eaten a bit. I mean,
Can I say that?
I haven't had a Grand Cru Chardonnay 0 dosage like this for a long time.
Yeah.
Taking the sugar out of this wine does not detract from this wine at all. In fact, you would want to see a wine of this quality with no sugar.
Yeah.
You've nailed it.
In fact, he's gone a step further, and Carla, I know you're man passionate about this, so I'm going to let you expand on this. They actually, to show even more, because the vines in this are 40 plus years old,
Yeah,
so
we got some age.
old vine viticulture is really important. So to show more of that, they do low blood pressure, don't they?
Which is super interesting. So in the second fermentation, you've got blended still wine. So you've got your 5 Grand Cru parcels in the bottle. The winemaker will add another dose of yeast and another dose of sugar to trigger the secondary fermentation. By putting in a lower amount of sugar at this point, you can actually trigger a lower level of pressure in the bottle, and you result with softer bubbles, a more delicate gastronomic style of wine. So we're sitting at about 4.5 bars of pressure, as opposed to a traditional champagne across the board uniformly. We're seeing champagnes at about that 6 bar of pressure.
I told you she was passionate.
But it's this silkiness on the palate, this softness, this approachability.
It's like a pillowy, soft. It doesn't detract at all from the bubbles. In
Gorgeous.
fact, it sort of puts them in a different dimension. And so the aim is actually that it's more of a food wine. It's a gourmand wine, so it's there for you to pair up with some beautiful dishes.
What I particularly like about this wine is that the way that he's utilised barrel, so Burgundy barrels and some locally produced barrels, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, in Avize.
He's fermenting in these barrels open top, and there's an influence there of the timber, but it's not clumsy. Sometimes for me, I get a bit cranky when I see winemakers use too much barrel and it actually overpowers the fruit.
Yeah.
The Chardonnay...
Big problem we had in Australia for a long time.
For sure. And the Chardonnay here and its integration with the timber and the fibre is perfectly balanced. I mean, we're looking at a very talented winemaker to make something as poised as this wine, but with the right level of influence all the way.
Absolutely. And I'm loving the layers of autolysis, so that you can see that it's been aged for 3 to maybe 4 years, but it's been aged in as a wine first for
still wine.
up to 18 months, and then in the bottle after it's finished fermentation for a further sort of 2 to 3 years. So you've got 2 sort of points of aging, which really adds to the overall complexity of the wine. And I just said to Carla earlier when we were tasting wine, I said, I don't think I want anything more in a Blanc de Blanc than this.
No. I mean, honestly, there are some Blanc de Blancs in the market that people hunt. Ruinart is very popular. I mean, I would open a bottle of this, forgive me for saying so, a bottle of Ruinart any day of the week. Yeah. It just is so good.
It does come down to personal taste and sort of your setting and what mood you're in and that kind of thing. And I think this really sets tone for a lot of evenings.
For me, Christmas, this wine and some scallops, and I would be a very, very happy camper. What an amazing champagne.
Love it. So there we have it. 2 phenomenal examples of wines that have started at nothing and been built from literally the ground up and had nothing left from a sugar point of view in them to show us the full expression of what they do.
How amazing that you can make these 2 wines from a grape. I mean, let's look at it in its bare bones. I mean, I know we've simplified that, but there's so much thought, effort, attention, energy technique that's gone in to make these two wines.
Yeah.
And they're just great examples of zero dosage.
I think that's sort of nature and harmony in its entirety. So there's so much that's happened, and really, really happy to show you these wines. And I'm really interested to see your thoughts. So when you do try them, do feel free to post on Instagram, on Facebook,
on the community
page, whatever you like, with your thoughts. We'd like to hear from you, of course. So until next month.
Yes, we've got another amazing theme. So exciting.
Exclusive theme coming for you in January. So enjoy this, and we'll see you on the other side. Glad we didn't fuck that one up. I was like, I took a sip and I'm like, oh, I don't want to choke. So just really fuck it.
Fresher?
Sorry, you said it's Waris.
Waris.
It sounded like war ass.
And welcome back, club members. This month we have a very exciting... That was shit, starting again.
Yeah.
The first... Sorry. Waris.
Yeah, it's Waris.
Waris.
It's a Norwegian name, I think. Waris. The consistency of greatness in any champagne house is cleanliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Yep, so we have... Waris.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked it up, but that's okay.
Yeah, Waris. It's a Waris.